Kaya-chan is a girl everyone's afraid of, because sometimes she's downright terrifying. On a beautiful day at kindergarten, several kids are having fun at the playground. A little girl is playing on the swing and asks her friend to push her harder. That's when something shoves her with brutal force, and the little girl falls to the ground, bursting into tears. Shortly after, Teacher Chi is holding an ice pack against the head of the girl who fell, noting that lately kids have been falling off the swings quite a bit. Teacher Akira says that's pretty normal for kids, but Chi disagrees, pointing out this is the 5th time it's happened in just 1 week. Right then, the children start screaming, "Teacher Chie, Kaya's fighting again!" And there she is, Kaya, standing with her arms spread wide in front of the swings, blocking a boy from using one. The boy gets irritated because he really wants to swing on that specific swing, but Kaya says firmly, "You can't." "Absolutely not." Chie shows up and tells her to stop. "Kaya, you're always picking on someone." Kaya makes an angry little face. At that moment, some teachers gossip among themselves that Chie is the new teacher and got stuck with Kaya. Apparently, the previous teacher in charge of Kaya ended up quitting because she nearly went insane dealing with the girl. It seems Kaya's always fighting, and the teachers are hoping Chie can handle the pressure of looking after her. While trying to lecture Kaya, the little girl takes advantage of the distraction and runs off, with Chie chasing after her. Right then, the boy seizes the opportunity, now that Kaya isn't there to stop him, and jumps on the swing. But as soon as he starts having fun, the vibe totally shifts. The air gets heavy, and a creepy hand starts pushing him. He enjoys it at first until he's pushed way too hard, super high, and he starts freaking out. He begs, "Stop! Please, stop!" That's when Kaya appears, grabbing the swing's chain and knocking the boy off. She orders, "Get out of here!" But the boy thinks she was the one pushing him like that. However, as soon as Kaya sits on the swing, she's pushed with tremendous force too, and the boy realizes it wasn't her pushing him. Without even changing her expression, Kaya's launched super high, and at that moment, a dark, viscous stain appears on the ground. A monster with a huge mouth emerges, with hands coming out of it, pushing Kaya with all its might. But before she can fall, Kaya reveals her true power and lands a devastating punch on the monster, obliterating it instantly. That's when we discover that Kaya actually has super psychic powers. After defeating the monster, Kaya extends her hand to the boy and says, smiling, "Don't be scared. Everything's okay now. Want to swing together?" The boy, scared out of his mind, runs away screaming, "Now I'm afraid of the swing, and especially of you." Kaya gets sad and murmurs, "I'm not scary." Teacher Chi saw everything, and we realize she can see the monsters too. Later, a girl is playing with a "Where is it, found it" peekaboo book. She's super happy with the simple game, but when she opens the next page, a dark aura flows out of the book, paralyzing the girl. At the same time, Akira receives a call from one of the parents saying their daughter won't be coming in that day. When she goes to tell Chie, she walks in on Chie and Kaya in a tug of war over the book the little girl was reading earlier. Kaya says, not letting go of the book. "This one's off limits." The little girl storms off saying, "I hate you, Kaya." Chie asks, "Kaya, do you want this book that badly?" But when she turns around, Kaya's already dropped the book, leaving only a piece of tape to keep anyone from opening it. Chie gets exhausted and vents, "I can't figure out what you're thinking." Akira tells her not to worry too much about it, or she'll end up losing her mind. She adds, "Some kids are just mean by nature." Chie gets worried and thinks that nothing Kaya's doing is random or just kid stuff. After all, ever since she defeated the monster at the swing, nothing bad has happened again. She wonders if the book also has some kind of monster. She tries to deny it, believing the monster she saw was just her mind playing tricks. But curiosity gets the better of her. When she opens the book, she notices Kaya put tape on one of the pages. Understanding everything, she runs out and finds Kaya filling several books with tape. She grabs the book from Kaya's hands. "You can't do this! Now no one will be able to read them!" Chie then explodes with rage and lets out a huge yell. "Kaya, put back all the books you messed up!" The scream is so loud the teachers laugh, already noticing that Kaya's driving Chie crazy. While organizing the books, Chie realizes there are tons of them, and gets pretty discouraged. Kaya says, "None of them can be opened," and walks out of the room. Chie gets frustrated, because all Kaya ever says is, "Can't do this, can't do that," but never explains why. She then selects some books to remove the tape from, but ends up remembering what Kaya said before with that firm voice, "Can't open them." But since she can't leave the books like that, she decides to open them anyway. As she pulls off one of the tapes, Kaya senses it immediately, and comes running ninja style to stop Chie. Chie finishes removing the tape and, remembering how she used to play with books like this as a kid, decides to play around a little. But when she turns the page, "Found you!" A monster's face pops right in her face. She throws the book away, scared to death. The monster emerges completely from inside the book and comes face to face with Chie, who's paralyzed with fear. But just as the monster's about to attack her, Kaya lands a powerful blow with a book on the creature's head, finishing it off instantly. And she says, "See? That's why I said you couldn't open it." Chie, still in shock, asks, You already knew this would happen?" Kaya confirms with a nod. Then, finally, Chie realizes Kaya's been protecting everyone this whole time. Right then, the other teacher comes to get Kaya and starts dragging her to the other room. While being dragged away, Kaya points her finger at the books and says, "Chie, all of them. Can't." Chie's shocked to learn that all the books have monsters inside them. So, following Kaya's orders, Chie gets rid of the books, in the dumbest way possible, literally throwing them in the middle of the street. But the principal sees the books and picks them up again. The next day, Kaya and her dad are getting ready to leave. Her dad says, "I've got a slight headache." Kaya calls him, and when he turns his face, we notice there's a monster attached to him. But Kaya, with a simple touch, destroys the creature, relieving her dad's headache. Outside, Kaya waves at her mom's bedroom window, but all we see is a dark, ominous window. Walking with her dad, she observes several monsters everywhere, and even pulls her dad to the side, dodging one of them. At school, a child screams desperately in one of the bathrooms that's locked. Chie appears and frees him from the stinky prison. He hugs Chie and cries his heart out. Next, Akira warns the children, "The middle bathroom is off limits because it's locking by itself. You mustn't use it." Kaya stares at the bathroom, already suspicious of something. Right then, a little girl comes running, super desperate, and begs, "Kaya, let me use the bathroom first." Kaya responds, "Go ahead, but you can't use the one with the tape." But the girl really needs to go, almost peeing her pants, and she's freaking out. Kaya says, "The teacher said not to hold it." But the little girl responds, "I can't help it. I was playing." The little girl then decides, "I'm gonna pee in that bathroom. Watch me, Kaya." Kaya refuses immediately. "No, the teacher will get mad and you'll definitely get locked inside." The little girl goes in anyway and says, "If I get locked in, I trust you'll save me, Kaya-chan." Inside the bathroom, the girl relieves herself. But when she tries to open the door, what Kaya said happens. She's trapped. She thinks about yelling for Kaya to open the door, but when she opens her mouth, she realizes Kaya will call the teacher, and she'll be mad. So she decides not to call for help. But then she concludes, "If I stay here forever, I'll turn into a little skeleton." She starts to panic, pulling at the door latch. The moment the door opens a bit, a monster slams it shut again. Kindergarten bathroom doors usually open easily from the outside, which is why there are never accidents with the kids. But what if there's no one outside to open the door and save whoever's inside? The monster keeps saying with a dragging voice, poor thing, no one's coming to save you." The girl's legs are trembling with fear. And at that moment, Kaya bursts the door open with all her strength. "Run out of here!" She looks at the monster, grabs its face, and breaks into a huge smile. The girl actually asked for her help. For the first time, she's doing this because someone asked, and that makes her really happy. So she lovingly stuffs the monster into the toilet and flushes it. The little girl returns with teacher Akira. Seeing the disgusting mess the bathrooms become, she looks at Kaya wondering, what the heck happened here? Realizing she might get blamed, the little girl sneaks away. Akira asks, "Kaya, why did you do this?" Realizing that saying it was a monster never works, Kaya freezes, unable to think of a believable excuse. Then Chie appears and says, "It was all my fault. I'm the one who broke the door and accidentally broke the pipes." She gets scolded by Akira and ends up cleaning the bathroom. Kaya asks, "Why? Did you lie to Akira?" Chie responds, "Akira would never believe me if I said it was a monster." Kaya says, "If you can see monsters too, maybe with your help, the other teachers will understand." Chi swears up and down, "I don't see the monsters." Kaya, suspicious, asks, "Then how do you know it was a monster?" Chie smiles, "Because I believe in you." Chie continues, "I realized you've been protecting everyone all along, and that's why I'm going to protect you too." Kaya blushes and gets emotional. Right then, the little girl from before appears. Kaya hides behind Chie, but Chi places her in front of the little girl, whose name is Mi, to accept her feelings. Mi, all embarrassed, says thanks. "Thank you for saving me, Kaya." And Kaya is absolutely beaming from finally being praised for saving someone from a monster. At the end of the afternoon, her dad comes to pick her up. She jumps for joy into her dad's arms. They say goodbye, and Chie wonders, why is it always Kaya's dad who picks her up, and never her mom? Akira implies that something very serious happened to Kaya's mom. So when Kaya gets home, she runs upstairs all excited to see her mom. But when she opens the door, a giant eye greets her with a terrifying scream. Kaya immediately gets discouraged. That's when we discover there are things even the powerful Kaya-chan can't face. And back then, no one but her knew what was in her mother's room. A few days later, Professor Akira is walking around the neighborhood near the school with the kids. A little girl named Saku notices an extremely suspicious window in a nearby house. But when she looks closer, she sees half of a sinister and creepy face in the window and gets totally freaked out. She sees this face every single day during their walks, and scared out of her mind, concludes it must be a ghost. Saku tells all her friends about the ghost in the window, but a boy named Kenken doesn't believe her, saying he's never seen anything and calls her a liar. Saku gets pissed and slaps Kenken right across the face, saying it's not a lie just because he can't see it. Hearing this, Kaya turns bright red and is amazed by Saku's words, saying she's incredible. Saku gets all cocky, claiming that maybe she really is amazing for being able to see ghosts. Then Kaya says she can see them too, which surprises Saku, and she gets super excited about sharing the same ability. Saku then concludes that since they can both see ghosts, they'll definitely be able to convince the boys that ghosts are real. Kaya agrees. The next day, while walking around the neighborhood, Saku and Kaya are holding hands, and Saku explains that the ghost is in a nearby house, and every time it's watching her from the window. At that moment, a mysterious being watches them from behind a telephone pole. When they finally reach the spot, Saku immediately gets excited, noticing the ghost is still there, and asks if Kaya sees it too. Kaya says yes, but unlike Saku, Kaya is seeing a completely different ghost. It appears terrifyingly in front of them, screaming, "Don't look, don't look, don't look!" Saku can't see this ghost, so Kaya takes it out with a simple punch, which startles Saku. Kaya asks if she's okay, but Saku is totally confused. Kaya looks at the window and finally sees the sinister face, but her expression isn't the same as when she sees a ghost or spirit. Chie approaches them asking what's going on, and Kaya says she defeated the ghost, but somehow it's still in the window. Chie is surprised, but Saku, thinking Chie doesn't believe Kaya, says with all her strength that it's true and tells her to look at the house's window. So Chie looks at the window and her face completely changes when she sees the scary face. Shortly after, the teachers are gathered around Chie, who is visibly shaken. That's when we realize the face in the window wasn't a ghost, but actually a person who had already passed away, and that the ghost Kaya defeated was precisely that person's spirit. Luckily, Kaya and Saku didn't understand the heavy situation they got involved in, because they believe with all their hearts that what they saw was a ghost. And to avoid traumatizing the children, the teachers decided to leave it at that. The next day, Kaya and her dad are heading to school, but a mysterious person is following them. At school, the teachers receive a warning that a suspicious man, between 30 and 50 years old, has been spotted lurking around the area, and they need to stay alert because lately there have been many cases of children disappearing. The reports say the children disappear for an entire day, and mysteriously return home claiming they were with their mother moments before coming back. The teachers are freaked out, and the principal asks them to stay super vigilant, since that day they were going to the public park with the children. A few hours later, the teachers and children arrive at the public park. Akira tells the kids not to go anywhere they can't see them, and under no circumstances should they follow strangers. But behind a tree, once again, a mysterious being watches Kaya. While playing with flowers, a little girl puts a flower crown on Kaya, which makes her super happy and impressed with the girl's skills. The little girl's name is Yuzu, and she says her mom taught her. Upon hearing the word mommy, Kaya gets a bit sad. Kaya then asks Yuzu to teach her how to make a flower crown, and Yuzu agrees, so she starts teaching Kaya. Kaya picks up a flower to start making the crown, but when she turns around, Yuzu has disappeared into the forest. Worried about her friend, Kaya runs into the forest, but again someone is following her. Chie immediately notices Kaya and Yuzu are missing and runs off to find them. Kaya finds Yuzu and says that Miss Akira is going to be super mad at them. Yuzu says she heard her mom calling her from inside the forest. Then her mother appears and Yuzu introduces Kaya to her. But listening carefully to Yuzu's mom's voice, Kaya immediately realizes this woman is not her friend's mother. The woman calls Yuzu to leave, but Kaya grabs Yuzu's hand and says, "You can't! It's your mommy, but you can't go!" Yuzu doesn't understand why Kaya won't let her go with her mom. So the woman lets go of Yuzu's hand and keeps calling her to come with her. Yuzu gets irritated with Kaya, who won't let go of her hand no matter what. Then, just as Yuzu is about to hit Kaya, a huge creature appears. And to top it off, Chie also shows up and witnesses the sinister being about to grab the girls. So she runs to protect the girls, grabs the guy's hand, and with a strength she doesn't even know where it came from, she easily takes down the guy who weighs at least 260 pounds. Then she picks up Kaya and Yuzu in her arms and runs as fast as she can out of there. And when they get back, Akira is mad because she and the two girls disappeared. But Chie warns her that she saw a suspicious person. Shortly after at school, Akira tries to understand what happened. Yuzu says she saw her mommy, and Kaya adds that Chie threw a man. Akira is uncertain whether this man was really a suspicious person or some relative of Yuzu's mom. The principal arrives to ease the stressful atmosphere and tells the girls they must always remember they can't go where the teachers can't see them. At pickup time, Yuzu's mom comes to get her, and when asked if she was at the park, she denies it. And Chie is thoughtful because Kaya said the man in the forest hadn't done anything to them. Right after, Chie gives Kaya a pocket alarm and explains it will make a huge noise when bad people get close to her. Kaya, curious, asks if it also works with good people. Chie says yes, but explains that when the alarm goes off, bad people run away, and good people don't run. So Kaya sets off the alarm and makes a huge racket at school. Later, Kaya's dad comes to pick her up, and Chie says she'd be coming soon. But actually, Kaya is facing another dad. The other dad calls her to go a different way this time, a shortcut. So she climbs over the school fence, and right then, her friends show up. The boy says she can't leave that way, but Kaya says since she's with her daddy, then it's fine. The boy is totally confused because Kaya is actually alone. But the weird thing is, there's another shadow accompanying her. As she walks with the thing that is definitely not her dad, she ends up seeing that her real dad is waiting for her along with Miss Chi. Then she realizes it's a monster that's holding her. The boy from before appears running and says, Kaya jumped over the school wall, and Chi immediately realizes something is very wrong because, knowing Kaya's powers, she knows she wouldn't do something like that without a reason. So she runs off already thinking the worst. Meanwhile, realizing it's not her dad, Kaya thinks about using the alarm, but quickly changes her mind, activates her powers and crushes the monster's hand, then says, Kaya doesn't need an alarm because Kaya is strong. The monster groans in pain, but then transforms into Kaya's mommy, a crushing blow to her little heart. The monster, now in her mother's form, says she came to get her as promised, fixes her hair nicely, and holding her hand, calls her to go home. Being just a little girl, Kaya is easily fooled by the monster. But at this moment, the mysterious man from before appears and shoots holy water in the monster's face, making it scream in pain. He explains that this monster is a soul kidnapper from another world, which takes the form of a loved one of its victims and kidnaps them. Now that she's seen the monster's true form, Kaya gets super pissed and, with a simple slap, finishes off the creature. The guy introduces himself as Mob, the old dude she had already saved in the past. He really admires Kaya's medium powers and tries to greet her. Kaya doesn't remember saving any strange man in the past, so she sets off the alarm and simply says, Stranger danger. Chie immediately hears the alarm sound and runs to Kaya, and seeing the weird guy, she gets irritated right away. But Kaya protects him, stating that since he didn't run from the alarm, he's not a stranger. Mob says Kaya saved him when she was still very little, and that he's super grateful for that, but this gratitude has become almost like fanaticism. Kaya's real dad appears, and she runs into his arms. Then Mob introduces himself to Chie as an occult writer and gives her his business card. He asks her to call him later because he has a lot to tell her. Chie becomes even more suspicious of the guy and says, Dude, this is so sketchy. Sometime later, Kaya-chan is at school, casually drawing with her classmates while teacher Chie is lost in thought. She's remembering that bizarre day when she met the occultist Mob. After that weird encounter, she did some research on him and found out everything the guy said was true. But still, to her, Mob remains an extremely sketchy dude. And either way, Chie concludes she needs to protect Kaya-chan from that weirdo. Now more focused, she notices Kaya's drawing and says it's super cute. Happy as can be, Kaya says, I'm gonna color it. She runs to grab some colored crayons. But when she opens the box, she realizes the black crayon is missing. Other kids also say there are no black crayons in the other boxes either. Chie and Akira notice this is bizarrely weird, and the kids start suspecting a thief, even though one little boy doesn't even know what a thief is. Chie notices Yuzu acting strange, and when she questions her, Yuzu gets startled and tries to sneak away. But since she has a pure heart and can't lie, she reveals that her brother had a bunch of black crayons. They head to the first grade teacher's room, where teacher Maro apologizes for what Yuzu's brother is doing. The little boy's name is Ken, and he painted all over the classroom mirror, claiming that the mirror is scary. Maro explains to Chie and Akira that the little boy is just like Kaya-chan, a problem child, in Maro's words. With a tone way more arrogant than any elementary school teacher should have, Maro wonders what the heck is so scary about a mirror and concludes that Ken is only scared because he's such a baby. This shows that maybe Maro doesn't even like her job and is only there because she needs the paycheck. Akira says she shouldn't talk like that, and Maro, now speaking more gently, apologizes to the second graders, saying she'll give Ken a serious talking to for stealing and ruining all the black crayons. Chie finds Maro's arrogant and mean way of speaking earlier really strange, and Akira agrees, saying she'll have a more serious conversation with Maro later. Meanwhile, Yuzu's little brother stares at the mirror with a look that mixes fear and curiosity. Later, Chie is working overtime taking care of Kaya when Mero shows up and greets her. Chie asks if she's also working overtime, and Mero says yes, but not because she wants to. She was forced to clean the mirror Ken messed up earlier. Chie offers to help her, but she refuses and tells them both to do their best as caretakers of problem children, obviously referring to Kaya-chan too. Hearing this and knowing about Kaya's powers, Chie suspects there might be something bad about that mirror and, fearing the worst, offers again to help Mero, but she refuses once more. Next, Mero starts cleaning, but when she wipes the glass with the cloth, a terrifying monster takes over her face in the reflection and grabs her neck, making her scream. The scream catches Kaya and Chie's attention, so Kaya runs to save her. When they arrive in the room, the monster is pulling Mero's leg as if it wants to drag her inside the mirror, while the monster screams, "Help! Help!" But Kaya kicks the creature, which retreats back into the mirror and saves Mero. While Mero recovers from the shock, Kaya notices something very strange about Mero's reflection. The name and design aren't flipped. This is extremely weird since mirrors flip everything they reflect. And to make it way stranger, the next day, Mero is completely different from her usual self. Now she's no longer the annoying teacher who complains about students, but instead a kind teacher. She even apologizes to Yuzu and Ken for what she said the day before. But an even stranger detail appears. The beauty mark on Mero's face, previously on the left side, is now on the right side. And the name on her clothes is now reversed. Chie is impressed by Mero's huge personality change and says she expected nothing less from a lecture by teacher Akira. But Akira says she hasn't even talked to Mero about the previous day yet. At that moment, two hands bang from inside the mirror as if desperate to get out. Later, everyone heads to swimming class and Chie is just as excited as the kids. Saku-chan shows off her cute swimsuit that her mommy gave her, and looking at Kaya, notices she's fully dressed. Kaya says she doesn't want to get sunburned. Kenkin shows up and starts making fun of Kaya's outfit, but the little girls won't let him bother Kaya and chase him away. Akira calls the kids to do a warm-up before getting in the pool, and Kaya notices a ghost right above the pool, as if it's waiting for the kids to get in. Soon after, everyone's having fun in the pool, except Kaya-chan because she hates pools, and also because she can't swim. She sits on the edge of the pool, completely bummed out. Kenkin shows up to make fun of her, and Saku asks if Kaya wants her to beat up Kenkin. Since Kaya can't swim, Yuzu offers her a kickboard. At that moment, Kenkin bumps into the ghost and turns around apologizing, thinking he bumped into another kid, but to his surprise, there was no one behind him. That's when the ghost shows its fangs and slimy tongue, and grabs the boy, holding him underwater. Kaya sees everything, and Saku thinks he's hiding from them, so she goes after him, but due to the waves caused by the other kids, Saku doesn't notice him. Kenkin reaches his hand out in a desperate attempt to call her, while the ghost holds him underwater. He starts losing hope that anyone will notice him, but at that moment, Kaya jumps with her kickboard onto the ghost, saving Kenkin's life. Saku celebrates, thinking Kaya smacked Kenkin, but Akira scolds the kids, thinking they were just playing around and that this game could drown someone. So she tells Kenkin and Kaya to get out of the pool. Knowing that Kaya can't swim and that she risked herself to save him, Kenkin carries her and thanks her for her heroic act, apologizing for being rude to her before, which makes Kaya super happy. Obviously, the two get a good scolding from Akira. Later, after everyone says goodbye, Mob pulls up in his car in front of Chie, and she immediately gets ready to beat him up. He asks why she hasn't contacted him, and Chie says she would never call a stalker. Mob threatens her, saying if she doesn't set up a meeting with him, he'll keep showing up in front of the school until she agrees. Hearing the word meeting, Chie gets curious, and Mob shows her a top-secret folder, inviting her to talk about Kaya. They go to a coffee shop, and Chie examines Mob's top-secret documents. The documents have everything about Kaya: name, age, address, even notes from her conversations at school. This is super sketchy. Chie concludes he really is a criminal stalker and yells that she's calling the police. While she dials the police number, he begs her to hear his side of the story, because if he had bad intentions, he wouldn't have shown her all this. Chie decides to hear his story, and Mob says that 4 years ago, he had a beautiful, cheerful little daughter. His greatest happiness was seeing her always happy. But one day, while she was walking to school, her little friend called her from across the street, and, unfortunately, a truck took her from this world. At the funeral, everyone tried to comfort him and his wife, but he wasn't in mourning like everyone else, because he was the only one who could see his daughter's spirit. And even having knowledge about the occult, he made the mistake of asking his daughter's spirit to stay by his side. This prevented him from grieving and moving on with life, but his wife didn't see it the same way because, unlike Mob, she couldn't see their daughter's spirit. Even though she still loved him, She decided to distance herself from Mob, hoping he would realize their daughter was no longer among them, and left a written note: "When you calm down, I'll come back." Mob continued taking care of his daughter's spirit, with the same routines as always, like taking her to the park. But since people couldn't see her, they thought it was weird for a man to sit and smile at absolutely nothing. But unfortunately for him, spirits can't stay in the living world for too long, or else they transform into scary ghosts. And that's what starts happening to his daughter's spirit. She said she was tired, but thinking it would be like a regular human's tiredness, he waited a few days, hoping she would recover. But as days passed, the transformation only got worse, until she completely transformed into a ghost. Realizing all this only happened because he asked her to stay with him, Mob thinks about giving up on life and going with his daughter's ghost to the afterlife. But to his surprise, his daughter asks them to go get her mommy too. Mob breaks down, begging her to only take him. That's when Kaya appears, and pops Mob's daughter's ghost like a simple balloon, saving him from what was once his daughter. Mob explains to Chie that Kaya not only made him accept that his daughter had passed on, but also saved his marriage. Chie says she understands he really admires Kaya, in a positive way of course, but says he could use other ways to approach her, and not like some weird stalker. Mob agrees with Chie and says he kept his distance from her all this time and was studying her supernatural powers. But everything changed when, last month, his occultist partners gave him some disturbing information. The information revealed there was a house considered extremely dangerous in the area, and that, after much investigation, they discovered it was Kaya's house. And Mob says very seriously, "Inside that house, there's something very dangerous." Sometime later, Chie is deep in thought about her conversation with Mob. She's seriously worried about Kaya and totally freaked out by the creepy stuff Mob told her earlier. Kaya's dad shows up to pick her up, and Kaya rushes over since it's time to head home. Chie mentions she's looking forward to the home visit at Kaya's place the next day, and Kaya's dad confirms with a smile. They say their goodbyes, and right then, the police issue an emergency alert. Apparently, a little girl, only 8 years old, went missing that very day. The girl has black hair and braids and is wearing a flowery blouse and white skirt. Kaya asks what's going on, and her dad explains about the missing girl, adding that earlier that same morning, an elderly man had also disappeared. He tells Kaya to be careful not to get lost, and Kaya agrees. Further ahead, by sheer luck, they spot the missing girl. The poor thing is terrified and desperately hugs Kaya's dad, begging for help because somehow she can't find her way home. He says everything will be okay, and that they'll go to the police so they can contact her parents. The little girl gets excited for a moment, but then spots something that instantly changes her expression. She says she still can't go home and takes off running, desperate for some bizarre reason. It's as if she's being chased by something or someone. Kaya's dad can't see it, but Kaya. She sees a sinister and terrifying monster sniffing after the poor girl. Desperate, she runs from the monster that's getting closer and closer. The little girl hasn't gone home because she doesn't want to lead the monster there, which is why she keeps running aimlessly through the city. Unfortunately, she ends up in a dead-end alley and hides behind a pole, since maybe that's the only way to possibly throw the monster off her trail. She watches the alley entrance, already fearing the worst, but to her relief, who appears is Kaya-chan. But knowing Kaya-chan's look, that's her hunter's gaze, and she's not looking for the little girl, but rather the monster chasing her. Kaya then says, "Found you. Oh, the girl's here too." At that moment, the monster grabs the girl by the head to the poor thing's horror. But Kaya shows why she's the most powerful of all, and destroys the monster with a single attack, splitting the creature in half. Kaya then listens to what the monster is saying, and tells the little girl that the monster is asking for help, that it's suffering and just wants to go home. That's when the little girl remembers what happened before she started being chased by the monster. She was playing with her paper airplane, until it fell into the river and landed on something she should never have seen. Kaya's dad finally catches up to both of them, and is relieved that they're both okay. But the little girl is deeply shaken, remembering the bag she saw in the lake. Later, the little girl reunites with her mother, who's relieved to have found her daughter safe. Later, the police make another announcement, stating that both the child and the missing elderly man have been found. That's when we realize that the bag the little girl had seen before was actually what was left of the elderly man, and because of this, unfortunately, the little girl was traumatized. The next day at school, the kids are super excited about the new toys the school got. The teachers ask the principal why so many toys, and the principal explains that a friend's school ended up closing and was going to throw the toys away. She thought that would be such a waste, so she brought them all to her school. Chihiro is already used to the principal's zero waste rule, and doesn't even bat an eye anymore. Most of the toys are broken, and Akira says that later they'll organize everything. The teachers call the kids to play outside and leave the toys to have fun with them the next day, since everything will be organized. The kids leave all excited, but 3 sneaky girls stay behind because they're curious to see the best toys. Nachi is scared the teachers will catch them red-handed, but the others don't even care. They end up finding a bizarrely creepy and suspicious doll, and when Nachi picks it up, something weird happens to her. At that moment, Kaya-chan appears and immediately says her warning words, "Don't do it!" The girls try to play dumb with Kaya, claiming they're not doing anything wrong. But all Kaya says is, "You can't keep her." But Nachi walks away with the doll in her arms, ignoring Kaya's warnings. But Kaya's look says it all. "The doll is a monster!" Nachi puts the doll in a separate spot, and her little friends notice that her shirt sleeve is torn, just like the doll's. Shortly after, Nachi is clearly possessed and cuts her own hair, saying she prefers it shorter, just like the doll's. A bit later, she pulls out a baby tooth, and with a creepy smile says it's all good. Her little friends quickly conclude that the weird doll is to blame for everything and run to throw it away. But when they get to where the doll was, it's empty. Nachi appears completely possessed with the doll in her arms. The little girls are scared out of their minds, but one of them slaps the doll, sending it flying to the feet of the best possible person, Kaya-chan. Kaya lifts the doll like it's a rabbit just caught by an expert hunter and says, "This is why I said you can't!" Then she slams the doll to the ground with tremendous force, and Nachi faints, but soon returns to normal, not remembering anything that happened. Kaya-chan walks away carrying her prey, and the girls are happy and relieved for their friend, who finally realizes she's missing a tooth. In the afternoon, she goes for her first home visit, but she's a little scared because, as Mob said before, there's something powerful living at Kaya's house. Getting there, Kaya sees her and gets super happy about her favorite teacher's presence. Then Kaya asks what she came to do there. Chie says she came for a home visit and to talk with her mom and dad. Hearing this, Kaya immediately changes her expression and says with all her might, "You can't! Kaya's mommy can't!" Kaya says her mom is different from other moms, and that's why Chie can't talk to her. But at that moment, the door opens and something insanely scary and powerful comes out to greet Chie. Chie gets super excited and introduces herself to the creature. Then we realize it's none other than Kaya's mom. But since Chie doesn't have paranormal powers, only Kaya can see the monster standing before them. Everyone goes to the kitchen to talk about Kaya, and the poor thing just watches that thing chatting normally with everyone. Kaya can't understand what the creature is saying. It's like it's speaking a completely different language from hers, but both her dad and Chie understand her perfectly fine. A little while later, Chie says goodbye to Kaya's mom and leaves, but ends up running into Mob, who was clearly following her. He's excited about Chie's visit to Kaya's house and asks how it went, if she found anything strange there. Chie says she didn't see anything weird, and that Kaya's house is a normal house like any other. But Mob doesn't believe her, and with a really suspicious and weird face, asks her to share the information she collected on the visit. Then Chie, scared to death, refuses immediately. Then she realizes she left her pen at Kaya's house, and when questioned by Mob once again, she ends up remembering Kaya's strange words from minutes before. That's when Kaya's mom appears to return Chie's pen. Chie is happy that she went through the trouble of walking all the way there to return the pen, even though she's pregnant. But Mob is completely frozen in fear, trembling all over, because unlike Chie, he has some supernatural power. After Kaya's mom left, Mob takes Chie to a little park and asks what Kaya's mom was like from her perspective. Chie says she was a kind mom and that she was also pregnant. Mob agrees, but still very scared, says that what's in Kaya's mom's belly is probably a super powerful ghost. Chie, still not believing it, says that if it's a joke, it's not funny at all, but looking at Mob's face, she quickly realizes the guy is dead serious. Mob says he saw her that way too, because even though she was possessed, she didn't act like one. And that maybe the real target of the possession is the baby she's carrying. It's like Kaya's mom is acting as a shield for the baby, both physically and emotionally. Mob also says that this ghost is invincible against Kaya, because if it weren't, Kaya-chan would have probably already taken it down. Hearing all this, Chie wonders if the ghost will stay like this until the baby is born, or if what's born will even be human. What will happen to Kaya-chan if her little brother or sister becomes what she hunts? A few days later, Kaya-chan puts on her little shoes, prepares her backpack, grabs her barley tea water bottle, and heads off to school with her dad. Later, everyone's at the train station, getting ready for a field trip. Ms. Chi is completely stressed out because of Mob, who won't stop talking, claiming he needs to tell her something super important. Chi says she doesn't have time to meet with him since it's field trip day with the kids, but the guy won't shut up. And since they're about to leave, she just hangs up on him. But when she turns to the kids, they all start asking for different things at the same time. Buying juice, going to the bathroom. Chie, who was already stressed from Mob, completely loses it. And Akira and Chihiro decide to help her out. On the train, the kids are happy and chill. But some creepy old dude shows up telling the children to stand up, because since they're kids who don't pay for tickets, only the adults who paid have the right to sit down. Chihiro immediately gets furious, saying they paid tickets for all the children. To avoid drama and an unnecessary fight, Akira and Chihiro get up and tell the creep to sit in their seats, even though there are clearly several other empty seats available in the train car. A little while later, the teachers check if all the kids got off the train, but Chie quickly realizes that Kaya-chan didn't get off and is playing around in the car. She runs to get her, but right at that moment the train doors close, and the two of them are taken to the next station. Akira calls Chie and says she's relieved, because it would be way worse if Kaya-chan were alone. Akira even says this type of situation happens once every 10 years, which shows just how unlucky Ms. Chie is. But out of nowhere the call drops, and without Chie noticing, the train enters a parallel dimension. She sits down and asks if Kaya wants to sit too. Kaya says she can't sit there. She notices the creepy old guy from before is still on the train and figures Kaya-chan doesn't want to sit because the old dude had said she couldn't earlier. So, loud and clear, Chie says that Kaya-chan doesn't need to listen to what some weirdo says, and even states that all the tickets were paid for, and there are no rules forcing children to stand on the train. The old guy stands up, pissed off, but at that moment, several ghosts appear in the car, and the dude nearly craps himself in fear. Realizing that Chie can see them too, Kaya-chan explains that was the reason she didn't get off the train earlier, because the ghosts were blocking the exit. Chie is scared out of her mind, but Kaya-chan reassures her, saying that all the ghosts aren't evil. Kaya-chan turns to the old man who's frozen in fear and says, "That guy though, he's the evil one." The train finally stops and Chie rushes to get off, but one of the ghosts says, "You can't get off!" The guy rushes out, bumps into her and falls to the ground, wondering what the hell was happening on that train. The doors close right in front of Chi, and the train takes off with them still inside. The guy's relieved, thinking he escaped the ghosts. But unfortunately for him, a monster appears behind him, and what happened to him, well, you can probably imagine. On the train, they finally exit the parallel dimension, and Chie wonders if all of this was a dream. Mob calls her and says he was worried because he saw her GPS suddenly disappear. Since he has extensive knowledge about the supernatural, he already figured she had entered another dimension, and tells her to be very careful, because stations in other worlds are extremely dangerous. Chie notices there's no train to take them back, but since Mob is the official stalker of her and Kaya-chan, he soon pulls up his car behind them shouting, "Hello, your Uber's here!" With no other choice, Chie accepts a ride from him and asks why he's even there. Mob tells Chie not to worry about those silly details. Chie asks if the driver doesn't think Mob is kinda crazy. The driver, without beating around the bush, says, "Yeah, my husband has always been a total weirdo." Learning that the woman is Mob's wife, Chie's jaw drops, unable to believe it. Kaya-chan recognizes Mob, which makes him super happy. He asks her to call him Uncle Mob, and as soon as Kaya-chan calls him Uncle Mob, the guy nearly dies of happiness. Afterwards, Mob tells Chie what was so important that he needed to tell her. Mob discovered that Kaya-chan has a grandma named Ebisumori. She's famous for having eyes capable of seeing beings from other worlds, and in the past helped solve violent crimes in paranormal investigations, being highly sought after worldwide due to her paranormal abilities. Mob talks so much about Kaya-chan's grandma that she falls asleep. Mob says he believes Kaya's grandmother might know something about her mother. Mob says that since the place where Kaya-chan's grandma is located is pretty close to the kids' field trip location, he thought about taking Kaya there. Chie finds this super sketchy and, practically ripping Mob's face off, asks if he wasn't planning to kidnap Kaya-chan. But Mob dodges Chie's accusations by saying he was planning to take her along too. This irritates Chie even more, because it makes it seem like he wants her as an accomplice in kidnapping Kaya-chan. Shortly after, they arrive at the nursing home where Kaya's grandma is. Inside, Kaya-chan notices a little old lady telling a ghost to go away. Mob says these ghosts are known as those who take away, referring to spirits that appear when someone is nearing the end of their life. Since Kaya-chan doesn't really understand, she thinks the spirits would just take the elderly folks home, just like her dad does with her when picking her up from school. Mob explains that these ghosts aren't evil, as this is a natural phenomenon, and they pose no danger. However, Kaya-chan approaches one of the ghosts, and with a simple touch says, "Shoo!" and bam! The ghost pops like a soap bubble. The little old lady feels much more alive and thanks Kaya-chan, but Mob gets really scared. because this will attract the other elderly people who want to feel more alive again. And that's exactly what happens. The other elderly folks show up saying, "You made it, go away! I want to live longer!" Mob and Chie run from the elderly people who are practically possessed by the ghosts. Mob explains that the expression, "those who take away," is, in other words, death itself, and that when someone is close to death, they usually see death coming. But when a person discovers how to banish death, they chase after them, seeking a way to live a little longer. Mob also says that if they get too close to Kaya-chan, since they see in her a way to get rid of death, she's in danger. Mob tells them to head to Kaya-chan's grandma's room and says he'll stay behind to hold off the possessed elderly folks. She runs off with Kaya-chan, and Mob stays to deal with the elderly people who look more like zombies. That's when Ebisamori appears, and by simply tapping her cane on the ground, all the death spirits disappear. She lectures the elderly folks, stating that getting rid of the death spirits won't prolong their lives, but rather make them more anxious because they'll never know when they're going to die. Mob is impressed by the incredible power of Japan's most powerful medium. He introduces himself to Ebisamori and says he has someone very important to introduce to her. Meanwhile, Chie and Kaya arrive at Ebisamori's room, but notice the room is empty. They go in anyway, and Chie finds a photo of Ebisamori's family. Chie notices Kaya's mother when she was younger in the photo. She turns to show Kaya-chan, but Kaya-chan's expression is completely different. Meanwhile, Ebisamori and Mob walk to her room, and Mob explains that she has a granddaughter named Kaya. Ebisamori says she doesn't remember having a granddaughter, and wonders when her heartless daughter had a child. They finally reach the room, and Ebisamori observes Kaya-chan with her back turned. But when Kaya-chan turns around, Ebisamori freaks out and says, "Nana, why did you do this? This girl is innocent. If you want to kill me, just kill me. Nana, Nana!" Chie separates her from Kaya-chan, but Kaya-chan flashes a terrifying smile and passes out right after. Later, on their way back, Kaya-chan wakes up and says they didn't see her grandma. Shortly after, they arrive at the field trip location on time, and Chie explains that Kaya-chan doesn't remember anything that happened before and after meeting her grandmother. Since it's not a good memory, Mob says it's better that she doesn't remember anything. They start the field trip, and while Kaya-chan has fun, Chie concludes that Kaya-chan didn't lose her memory, because at that moment, it wasn't her who was there, and she wonders, who was that terrifying girl who was in Kaya's place? But Chie is certain that this is something she'll find out sooner or later. A few days later, in the classroom, Akira asks the kids to draw something that left a strong impression on them. Kenken and Yuzu are totally intrigued by what Kaya-chan is drawing, and then we finally see it. Kaya taking down a ghost in the middle of a forest, while their teacher Chi stands there beaming with the biggest smile on her face. Akira is not having it. She tells Kaya to stop this creepy little game. That's not what she asked for at all. Kaya-chan looks crushed and fires back, deflated. It's not a game. But since Chi knows full well that Kaya-chan actually defeats real ghosts, she jumps in fast to save the kid from a full-on lecture. Oh wow, there really was a tree back there that looked just like a ghost, wasn't there, Kaya-chan? Akira buys it completely, apologizes to Kaya-chan, and Kaya-chan absolutely lights up, over the moon about what Chie just did for her. Later, Kaya-chan is out at the mall with her dad, and Mob is watching her from a distance like a total creep. Some little kid actually starts walking toward him, but his mom yanks him away immediately, whispering to never go near someone like that. But honestly, Mob is just genuinely happy to see Kaya-chan having such a great day out. Lost in his own thoughts, Mob loses track of Kaya and completely panics, frantically searching for her everywhere. He finally spots her and follows her to a fountain. Kaya-chan senses him and says, "Uncle Mob? My dad disappeared." Mob realizes she's lost and wants to help, but he's freaking out about getting in trouble, because he knows everyone already sees him as some sketchy weirdo who kidnaps kids. He looks around for someone to flag down for help, but the mall, which was packed just a minute ago, is suddenly completely empty. Out of nowhere, Kaya-chan spots what she thinks is her dad and takes off running. Mob chases after her, and as they pass a store's display mannequins, he doesn't even notice that their heads have slowly turned to follow him. Kaya-chan finally sees her dad, except he's acting super weird, just standing there waving her over into a fitting room. Mob immediately clocks that this is not her dad and tells her not to go in there, but Kaya-chan walks right in anyway. The second she pulls back the curtain, a mannequin's hand drops to the floor. Mob hears something behind him, and his heart nearly stops as he slowly turns around and comes face to face with a mannequin wearing her dad's face. It crashes down on top of him, and in full-on panic mode, he grabs Kaya's hand and bolts, looking for anywhere safe. As they run, he notices more mannequins watching them with this nightmare fuel stare, and he starts genuinely questioning whether he's dreaming or somehow slipped into another dimension. He spots the elevator, they pile in, and he slams the door shut. Mob mashes the first floor button like his life depends on it. But then Kaya-chan, in a deep, eerie voice, goes, "It's too late. There's no way out for you." That's when Mob realizes the girl next to him is not the real Kaya-chan, and he lets out a blood-curdling scream as the monster reveals its true form right in front of him. The creature climbs up his chest, about to devour him whole, but at the very last second, the real Kaya-chan kicks the elevator door open and announces, "Lost person, found. Messing with Uncle Mob, not allowed." And with one single punch, she absolutely obliterates the monster. Mob bursts into tears like a little baby, thanking Kaya-chan for saving his life, saying that even though she's so tiny, she radiates godlike power. He takes her to the mall's lost and found desk, and her mom shows up shortly after to pick her up. But the second the receptionist calls Kaya-chan's name and says her mom is there, Kaya-chan flashes back to the monstrous form she always sees when she looks at her mom, and she bolts, terrified. Outside, her mom catches up and calls her name. Kaya-chan freezes on the spot, because this is the first time she's ever heard her mom's real voice. No horrifying whispers, no monstrous undertones. She looks up at her face and sees her, really sees her, for the first time ever. Completely overwhelmed, she screams, "Mommy!" But just like that, the moment is ripped away, because that wasn't her mom at all. It was another woman who, after pulling off a wig, turns out to be Aunt Nana, her mom's older sister. Kaya's dad finally shows up, visibly shaken, and asks who this woman is and why she brought his daughter out here. Kaya-chan says it's Aunt Nana, and the second her dad really looks at the woman's face, the resemblance to his wife hits him like a truck. Nana asks if Mirai never said anything about her family. He says Mirai never really liked talking about it. Nana just says the family is kind of complicated, and that when she found out she had a niece, she felt like she had to meet her. Nana turns to leave and asks him not to mention the visit to Mirai. He agrees, introduces himself, and asks her to pass along his regards to the family. Nana thanks him, but when her eyes land on Kaya-chan, she's met with that dark, piercing stare of hers, and as she walks away, she thinks to herself that she still needs to investigate Kaya-chan's household, and that it's not too late to take care of the situation, whether she means Kaya-chan herself or the terrifying and powerful entity living inside her. Another day at school, Kenken knocks over a vase of flowers, and his classmates throw him under the bus without a second thought. Akira, furious, tells him this is the third time and drags him off to the punishment room. Saku tells Kaya-chan that Kenken is totally cooked, because the punishment room is some dark, haunted place where a ghost forces bad kids to become good. She admits it was actually their teacher, Chihiro, who told them that story. But the truth is, Chihiro made the whole thing up just to scare the kids straight. Kaya-chan decides on the spot that she's going to defeat the ghost in the punishment room. Saku thinks that's the coolest thing she's ever heard, and says she's coming too. There's just one problem. Kaya-chan has absolutely no idea where the punishment room is. Saku puffs out her chest and says, "Don't worry, she's got it covered." As they walk, Saku asks why Kaya isn't scared of ghosts. Kaya says simply that she's not scared because she beats them all. Saku thinks that's the most amazing thing ever, and Kaya-chan, absolutely glowing from the reaction, gets all rosy-cheeked and says, "If a real ghost shows up, I'll protect you, Saku-chan." Saku is absolutely thrilled, grabs Kaya's hand, and leads her to the supply closet. Kaya asks if this is the punishment room, and Saku says it is, or at least she's pretty sure it is. They open the door, and Kaya-chan steps inside to hunt for the ghost. But Saku-chan won't come in because she's terrified of the dark. Kaya-chan takes her little hand and pulls her inside anyway, telling her not to worry, that she'll defeat the ghost. Saku says that's not the problem. The problem is that the room is scary. And then the door swings shut by itself, plunging them into total darkness. Saku completely loses it. No, 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 I am scared of the dark. Kaya-chan genuinely cannot relate to this fear at all. She fights things way scarier than the dark on the regular, so a little darkness doesn't even register. She finds the light switch and warns Saku she's about to turn it on. But then she spots a massive ghost looming right over Saku, shrieking, "You see me? You see me?" Kaya notices that every time she flips the lights on, the ghost vanishes. And every time she flips them off, it comes back. But while she's sitting there toggling the switch, poor Saku thinks Kaya is doing it on purpose just to mess with her, and desperately begs her to stop. That's when the ghost finally realizes Kaya can actually see it, and comes charging straight at her. "You can see me! You can see me! You can see me!" But Kaya clocks it right in the head, and puts it down in seconds. She spins around to Saku and announces proudly, "What did I tell you? I got you, Saku-chan." She walks over to Saku, who's still crying, and says everything's fine now, the ghost is history. completely forgetting that she never turned the lights back on, so Saku-chan is still standing there absolutely terrified in the pitch dark. That's when Chie walks in and finds Saku sobbing, clinging to Kaya's shirt, in the middle of a completely dark room. She doesn't need much imagination to figure out what went down, and takes them both to the actual punishment room. There, Kaya-chan braces herself for a serious scolding, but Chie throws her completely off guard by pulling out a little snack for each of them, something to help Saku calm down and give Kaya a chance to actually explain what happened. Kaya-chan gets straight to the point. There was a ghost, she defeated it, she protected Saku-chan, and everything worked out. Chie asks with a little smile whether everything really worked out, because Saku is still crying, and that's when it clicks for Kaya-chan. The real reason Saku is upset isn't the ghost. It's because Kaya dragged her into a dark room even after Saku clearly said she was scared of the dark. Kaya says, embarrassed, that she just didn't get why Saku was scared of the dark, and that she didn't mean to hurt her. Chie says she believes her, because she knows Kaya is a good kid who only wanted to protect Saku-chan. But she says gently, little by little, Kaya needs to start trying to understand how other people feel, so she can become an even stronger and kinder girl. And then Kaya-chan turns to Saku, and through tears, says she's sorry. Saku forgives her with a smile, and the three of them share a hug, a beautiful little moment that Kaya-chan is going to carry with her forever. Meanwhile, far away from all of that, Nana visits her mother and tells her she ran into Kaya and that nothing happened. But Ebisumori, once known as the most powerful psychic medium in all of Japan, is completely unrecognizable after her encounter with Kaya-chan, rocking back and forth and repeating the same words over and over like a broken record. Mirai died giving birth to that thing. Stay away. Watching her mother spiral further into madness, Nana comes to one conclusion. Something deeply wrong is happening around Kaya-chan. And somewhere else entirely, back at Mob's office, he gets a call from his mysterious master, who warns him to be extremely careful around Kaya's household, because Mob is way too weak and is going to seriously regret it if he keeps letting his guard down while the master isn't around. And before hanging up, the master says it one more time. Stay away from that house, or you will live to regret it. Take my word for it. The next day, Kaya-chan is out there having a blast with her dad when her mom Mirai pulls her aside for a super special talk. With the biggest smile on her face, Mirai tells her that, from now on, Kaya-chan is going to be a big sister. Yeah, you heard that right. There's a baby on the way. Mirai explains that the little one is all cozy and warm, growing right there in her belly, and that Kaya-chan, as the big sister, is going to have to look out for them. Kaya-chan absolutely loses it, like she literally lights up from the inside. She curls up in her mom's lap, and Mirai, getting emotional herself, wraps her in the warmest, most loving hug. Later at the hospital, Mirai goes in for a scan, and the news isn't great. The doctor warns that there's a real risk of premature birth since Kaya-chan's delivery was an emergency home birth. To play it safe, the doctor asks Mirai to stay admitted for one more day, just to make sure everything's okay. Kaya's dad reassures his wife, don't worry, he's got everything handled at home. But when Kaya-chan looks over at her mom, she sees something nobody else can see. Instead of Mirai, she catches a glimpse of the ghost possessing her. Like this entity is in absolute agony, sobbing and screaming, trapped inside her belly. It's a gut punch of a scene, for real. Mirai then explains to the doctor that during her pregnancy with Kaya, she was constantly anxious, barely sleeping, and she begs, pleads, for this baby to be born safe. With that, Kaya's dad has to run home to grab Mirai's clothes since she's staying overnight, so he drops Kaya-chan off at the daycare inside the hospital while he takes care of things. Kaya-chan is there, just vibing and playing like normal, when she suddenly has to use the bathroom. She goes, handles her business, and on her way back to the daycare, she hears something that makes her blood run cold. My baby! My baby! Where is my baby? Why? A desperate, gut-wrenching scream coming from one of the rooms down the hallway. The woman is frantically slamming the call button in room 303, losing her mind trying to get help. Kaya-chan stops dead in her tracks, listens, then keeps walking. But then she overhears two nurses talking in hushed voices, saying that this keeps happening, and that there's nothing they can do except ignore it. One of them mentions vaguely that if that woman's baby had been born healthy, none of this would be happening. And then, dude, Kaya-chan sees it. A ghost. A baby ghost. Crawling down the hallway, heading straight for room 303. Enough to make anyone's skin crawl, but not Kaya-chan, obviously. She just follows it. When she opens the door, she walks into something wild. A whole bunch of baby ghosts swarming the woman, who's screaming at them to get away, insisting that none of them are her child. Without a single ounce of fear, like zero, Kaya-chan handles the whole thing in seconds. Gone, just like that. The woman stares at her, completely lost, and Kaya-chan says casual as ever, "It's okay, ma'am. No more ghosts." Kaya-chan asks if the woman has a child. She says she does, or at least she was supposed to. She starts crying again, asking where he could be, until suddenly she realizes he's right there, in her arms. Flooded with relief, she completely breaks down. Right then, a nurse walks in and scolds Kaya-chan for being alone in a patient's room. Kaya apologizes and turns to say goodbye to the woman and the baby, but the bed is empty. There's nobody there. She asks the nurse where the mom went with her baby. The nurse, visibly freaked out, tells Kaya to stop scaring her because there's no patient in that room. And that's when the truth hits. The woman who used to stay there didn't survive the delivery, and neither did the baby. What Kaya-chan saw was her ghost, a spirit drowning in grief and regret, still searching for the child she never got to hold. A little later, Kaya and her dad head home. On the way, her dad's on the phone with his boss, explaining that he can't come in because he needs to be there for his daughter while his wife is at the hospital. The boss pushes back, keeps pressuring him, but then, just in time, a note from Nana shows up, saying she was glad to hear that Kaya-chan and Mirai are doing well, and that if they ever need help, just ask. The next day at the playground, the kids bolt toward the equipment the second they arrive. Saku-chan and Kaya-chan sprint together, totally hyped, heading straight for their favorite thing to play on, only to get there and realize it's gone. A kid had gotten hurt on it, so they pulled it immediately. Out of options, Saku suggests they hit the slide. They're both pumped, waiting in line, until Kenkin and a bunch of other boys walk right past everyone and cut to the front like they own the place. Saku-chan is fuming. She points to the rules sign and threatens to tell Ms. Akira everything. But then, Kaya-chan notices Saku has gone weirdly quiet. She looks closer and sees it, a gross, creepy ghost grinning from inside Saku. She's possessed. Kaya-chan goes straight for the ghost and lands a clean hit, but the possession doesn't break. And when a kid gets taken over by this kind of entity, they start doing seriously dangerous stuff on the playground equipment. Saku-chan, still possessed, announces she's going down the slide head first. Kaya-chan begs her not to, that it's way too dangerous. But Saku doesn't hear any of it and launches herself anyway. Kaya-chan also notices that Kenkin and the others are possessed too, and Kenkin decides to climb up the slide from the bottom, right as Saku is flying down head first. "Saku-chan, don't! You're gonna get hurt!" At the exact moment they were about to collide, they both snap back to normal. But the real hero was Ms. Akira, who had been watching the whole time. She yanks Kenkin off the slide just in time, and Saku flies right past, face-planting straight into the sand. But Saku-chan's bad luck was nowhere near done, because now she had to face the Demon Queen Akira in full rage mode. And honestly, all it took was one look from the teacher to snap the remaining possessed kids back to their senses. Pure, unfiltered terror did the job. Kaya-chan watches the whole thing with her jaw on the floor and arrives at one conclusion. She is so strong. Late in the afternoon, Nana, Kaya's aunt, shows up at school to pick her up, which completely catches Ms. Chie off guard. Kaya-chan sprints toward her. "You actually came, Auntie Banana!" Nana explains she came at Kaya's dad's request. Chie introduces herself, and the moment Nana hears the name, something clicks. This is the teacher who went to visit Kaya's grandmother at the hospital. Nana cuts straight to it. She asks how much Chie actually knows about Kaya-chan. Chie thinks back to that wild, terrifying day with Ebsumor, and decides it's better to keep her mouth shut. So she plays dumb, acting like the question was about Kaya's school life. Nana, who is nobody's fool, sees right through it. She points out that it's pretty sketchy for a kindergarten teacher to just randomly visit a student's grandmother at the hospital. There has to be a reason. Chie keeps sweating bullets, smile plastered on her face. Nana decides to let it go. But before she leaves, she gives Chie one final warning, dead serious. For your own sake, you need to stop snooping around and feeding your curiosity. There are things in this world that regular people can't do anything about. And if you get too close, something really bad is going to happen to you. Nana walks away. Chie stands there, speechless, completely shaken. On the way home, a sketchy ghost is tailing them. Nana whispers to Kaya-chan not to look at him, because if she makes eye contact, he'll follow them all the way back to the house. Nana thinks to herself, genuinely blown away. Even at this age, Kaya-chan feels absolutely zero fear around ghosts. Like, none whatsoever. Back at the house, Nana realizes the same ghost from before followed them home. She slaps a protective ward seal on the front door, and just like that, problem solved. Then she asks Kaya where Mirai's room is, because there's something she needs to find in there. The doorbell rings. Nana goes to answer it, and sees Kaya's dad standing outside, asking to come in. But wait, she had gotten a text from him saying he wouldn't be back until 6 p.m. Nana figures it out immediately. She turns to Kaya-chan and calmly explains that some people are going to try to get into the house, but she needs to ignore all of them. Can she do that? Kaya-chan says yes. A little while later, she's on the couch watching cartoons when the doorbell rings again. This time it's Mob's voice, asking to come in. But Kaya-chan, sharp as ever, knows immediately it's not the real Mob, because the real Mob always calls her Kaya-sama, not Kaya-san. She hangs up on the ghost without even blinking. Then the doorbell rings one more time, and now it's Nana's own voice, screaming at Kaya to get out of the house right now. She warns that the Nana inside is a dangerous ghost that took on her appearance, and that the real Nana is outside. Kaya-chan believes it and runs to open the door. The ghost steps in and thanks Kaya-chan for letting him inside, all smug about it. But Nana moves fast, slapping a ward seal right onto his forehead. The ghost lets out a howl of pain. Nana yells at Kaya to get back. And then, dude, Kaya-chan throws a punch. One punch. And the ghost turns to dust. Literally. Kaya-chan turns to her aunt with the most innocent little face and says, "Auntie Banana, I messed up. I'm sorry." Nana is absolutely speechless. She thinks to herself that this is completely unhinged, because her power and Kaya's mom's power don't even come close to what this little girl is packing. Kaya-chan then turns to the ghost dust on the floor, sticks out her tongue and giggles, finishing off the humiliation for tricking her. Meanwhile, Chie calls Mob and explains that Kaya's aunt warned her to stay away from the family, that it's way too dangerous to get involved. She says she thinks it's better to just walk away from all of this. What Chie didn't know was that the person who picked up the phone wasn't Mob, it was his master. The next day, Chie calls Mob's wife and gets news that completely blindsides her. Mob has gone missing, but his wife explains that this is totally normal. Mob is always pulling disappearing acts, getting into crazy situations, and coming back like nothing ever happened. They hang up, but Chie is still uneasy, because when she tried calling Mob herself, the voice that picked up was clearly not his, so she crosses her fingers and hopes he's okay. Later, while the kids are playing outside, Mob's mysterious mentor hangs back and watches Kaya-chan play with her classmates who are dying to jump on the playground toy. Kaya-chan says she'll hand it over when she messes up, except the problem is she's way too good and never messes up. Mob's mentor watches from a distance and quickly realizes that this little girl is extremely powerful and dangerous. He mutters to himself, "No doubt about it, she's the 8th Shrine Maiden. That child is absolutely a monster." A little later, a toddler throws a full-on tantrum and Chie goes to see what's going on. The boy's grandma explains that he put his socks and shoes on the wrong feet, and she's telling him to fix it. The kid wants nothing to do with that and keeps crying, insisting he likes it that way. The grandma loses her patience and snaps at him, saying that's how dead people dress. She explains to Chie that back in the day, people used to put the dead's clothes on backwards to tell them apart from the living, then points her finger at the little boy and says he looks just like a corpse, which of course only makes him cry harder. But she didn't become a teacher for nothing. She knows exactly how a kid's brain works. So instead of arguing, she acts totally blown away by the boy, praising him for putting his shoes on by himself, and asks him to do it again in front of her so she can see how he did it. The trick works like a charm. The boy puts everything on the right way without even realizing it. The grandma stares at Chi like she just pulled a rabbit out of a hat. Right in that moment, Chi senses a strange presence nearby, but she can't see anyone. The little onion-faced boy and his grandma say their goodbyes, and Chie picks up her phone hoping to see a message from Mob. And then Mob sends a photo of a park, asking her to come alone because he has something important to talk about. Sketchy? Absolutely. Chie goes anyway. She's at the park at night, alone, waiting for Mob who's nowhere to be found, and she's starting to get annoyed. That's when she notices a little boy sitting on the swing next to her. Even though something feels off, she tries talking to him, but the boy completely ignores her and flashes a wide, creepy grin. Then the boy's mom comes running toward them, waving. Chi breathes a sigh of relief and apologizes to the boy, thinking she'd scared him. But then she notices the boy was waving at his mom backwards. That thing the old woman said about dead people doing everything in reverse hits her all at once. When Chie looks at the mom running toward her, she screams, because the woman was running backwards too. Chie bolts out of there, completely panicked, and ends up crashing right into Mob. She warns him that this place is dangerous, that there's a whole family of ghosts lurking around. Mob, of course, gets super excited and immediately starts writing everything Chie says down, because this guy is obsessed with ghosts. Chie tells him this is no time to be taking notes, but then she notices something is seriously wrong with Mob. He's writing everything backwards. Mob looks up, flashes a terrifying smile, and claps for Chie for also knowing that the dead do everything in reverse. Chi freezes. She drops to her knees, completely unable to react. That's when Mob's mentor appears and flicks Mob right in the forehead, driving out the entity that had possessed him. Mob gets up saying he feels light, like a weight's been lifted off him, like he's free. His mentor confirms, That's exactly what happened. He then explains to Chie that she was used as bait and lured to a place with a higher chance of ghostly activity. Chie is shocked and furious at the same time, and demands they both explain everything, including who the heck this mysterious mentor of mobs even is. Problem is, the guy is the dictionary definition of antisocial. Mob explains that he learned everything about spirits from him, and that the guy's name is Nam-san, a medium so powerful he can't stay in one place for too long. Chie looks them both dead in the eye and declares that she now has a second suspect, a weird, unemployed man with no fixed address. Mob asks her to ease up a little with the words. Nam-san doesn't even flinch at what Chie says and cuts straight to the point. He asks her not to get involved with the shrine maidens of the Ebisamori family. But Chie is way too curious to let that slide and asks, who exactly are the Ebisamori? Realizing she's already way too deep in it, Nam-san explains that for generations, an extraordinary power has been passed down to the eldest daughter of each Ebisamori family. That's exactly what's going on with Kaya-chan. And without sugarcoating it, he concludes, that little girl is a monster. Nam-san also explains that Mob is extremely susceptible to spiritual influence, which makes him an easy target for possession. In his opinion, shrine maidens with this level of power should be kept away from the public. Chie gets furious and fires back that Kaya-chan is no monster. She's a sweet, kind, loving little girl, but Nam-san responds without blinking. When it comes to power, this overwhelming and dangerous, whether she's good or evil, is completely beside the point. Chie has no comeback for that. The next day, Kaya-chan grabs a little shovel and tells Yuzu she's going to build a mountain. A boy named Yuki swaggers over and announces that this is the construction site of his company, Nakahashi Construction, thank you very much, and that Kaya-chan can only be here if she does her job right. Then, being a good sport, he grabs the shovel and teaches her the right way to build a mountain. All right, now it's her turn. Kaya-chan stares at the mountain and obliterates it in one shot, burying Yuki in sand from head to toe. Yuki loses it. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired! Kaya-chan is devastated about getting fired on her first day. Meanwhile, Yuki finally finishes building another mountain, only to notice that a boy named Masaru built one way better than his. Stung by jealousy, Yuki decides he's going to dig a tunnel too. His little crew mutters under their breath that he hates losing. Yuki starts digging and suddenly feels like someone's digging from the other side, but he can't see anyone, so he brushes it off. Then a cold, mysterious hand grabs his arm and starts pulling hard. He screams for help, insisting there's someone on the other side. His friends say there's nobody there. Yuki, scared out of his mind, finally sees a terrifying ghost pulling him into the hole. And that's when Kaya-chan shows up and destroys the mountain with her little shovel. She quietly asks if Yuki is okay. Masaru tells her to stop wrecking everybody else's mountains and not to touch his either. Yuki walks around looking shaken, trying to convince himself it was just his imagination. Then he sees the finger marks on his arm. Yuzu calls Kaya-chan over to make sand cakes. She says she'll be right there, but notices her powers are taking longer than usual to fade. She quickly hides her arm under her sleeve and goes to play with Yuzu. Later, Yuki's mom comes to question the teachers about the grip marks on her son's arm. Akira and Chie apologize for not keeping a closer eye on the kids. The mom asks if he knows who did it. Yuki says Kaya-chan was there, but that it wasn't her. It was Kaya-chan who stopped the monster that did this to him. The next day, the annual Fall Family Festival kicks off. While talking with teacher Chihiro, Chie senses a strange presence nearby. Someone who absolutely does not belong at a family event. Right then, Kaya-chan nudges Chie. Kaya-chan's dad arrives, and Chie asks how her mom is doing. He says she's fine, which puts Chie more at ease. But while they're talking, in a moment of distraction, Kaya-chan lets go of her dad's hand without anyone noticing. When she calls for her dad to go get a snow cone, Kaya-chan looks down at the hand she's holding, and it's not her dad's hand. She starts looking around but bumps into the same creepy stranger from before. The guy smiles in a way that sets off every alarm bell and offers to help her. Kaya-chan can tell this guy is bad news and takes off running, but ends up getting even more lost. The creep shows up again and drops the act entirely, and Kaya-chan recognizes it immediately. This is the worst kind of person there is. Come hang out with Uncle, come on. Kaya-chan throws a powerful punch, but the guy catches her arm with ease. She starts screaming for help, drawing attention from everyone around, but people assume it's just a dad dealing with a difficult kid. She tries to break free again, but the scumbag grabs her tiny arm tight. Kaya-chan starts losing control of her powers and thinks to herself, Kaya-chan is so strong, so why am I scared? And in the exact moment she's about to completely lose control, Nam-san grabs the man's arm and says with an unsettling calm, "What do you think you're doing with my daughter?" People around them start eyeing the man for the predator he is. The creep stammers that Kaya-chan was the one following him, and slithers away before anyone can call the cops. Nam-san turns to Kaya-chan and realizes she's already barely holding it together. He gently places a mask over her little face to hide what's happening, and the camera closes in on Kaya-chan's eyes. Terrifying eyes. Eyes that don't belong to a child. Monster's eyes. Namsan picks her up and murmurs, "This is exactly why monsters shouldn't live among people." And then we get a glimpse into Namsan's past, and man, it's rough. Because of his paranormal abilities, he was abandoned by his own parents. And on his very first day of school, the guy was already saving a little girl from a ghost that was latched onto her neck. But since the girl couldn't see the ghost, she was absolutely terrified of Namsan. And from that day on, the whole class shut him out because everyone thought he was a freak. On top of that, he kept getting sent to the principal's office. This went on for years, to the point where his own classmates were jumping him. Since everyone was convinced Namsan was out of his mind, they had him institutionalized and pumped full of medication, which obviously did absolutely nothing. It only fed the depression he was already carrying until the day he decided he was done with all of it and jumped out a window. Somehow, Namsan survived, and that's when Mob showed up to visit him for the first time. Mob handed him a business card, introduced himself as a spirit medium, and explained that he was investigating rumors about an evil spirit in that hospital, specifically in room 313, and that he'd stumbled across Namsan, who had nearly become the spirit's next victim. Mob grabbed Namsan's hand and said, clearly relieved, that he was glad nothing worse had happened, and that he was going to protect him. A nurse walked in right then and had Mob dragged out, since he had no business being in that room. Mob shouted that they had no idea what kind of danger Namsan was in, but the nurses just called him a crazy weirdo and moved on. That night, Namsan lay there thinking about Mob and about himself. And even after that whole declaration of protection, Namsan was so deep in his depression that he was absolutely certain of one thing: nobody would care if he disappeared. The next day, Mob came back and covered Namsan's bed with charms and talismans, swearing they'd keep the ghosts away. Namsan looked at him and asked if he ever felt embarrassed, since everyone clearly thought he was a walking joke. Mob calmly explained that every person is different, and that when that difference is really big, it's only natural for people to get confused and want to reject what they don't understand. That it's just a human thing, you know? Nobody's really to blame. Namsan figured Mob only said that because it was convenient for him. Mob gave a little laugh and said, even though a lot of people reject him for seeming weird, Namsan hadn't, and he asked why. Namsan had no answer. The nurse showed up again, and this time she completely lost it when she saw Mob had snuck back into the room. She threatened to call the cops and had Mob dragged out once more. But without either of them even realizing it, Mob's presence was already shifting something inside Namsan. Enough that, for the first time in a long time, he cracked a small, quiet smile. Mob came back again, this time waiting in the room next door, asking Namsan to knock on the wall the moment the ghost showed up. But the guy fell asleep, and only woke up when he heard a loud bang on the wall. Namsan came in asking why Mob was knocking. Mob had no clue what he was talking about, because it hadn't been him. That's when he turned around and saw a ghost slamming its own head against the wall with brutal force. The spirit looked at Mob and flashed the most terrifying grin he'd ever seen. Mob froze. Even though he was scared out of his mind, Mob declared himself a spirit medium, pointed his little holy water pistol at the ghost, and announced he was going to protect Namsan. When the ghost came at him, the door slammed shut, and Mob was trapped inside alone with that thing. The ghost started slamming Mob's head into the wall. He thought he could handle it, but then it hit him that he was completely in over his head. It was Namsan who walked into the room, strolled right up to the ghost like it was nothing, and blew the creature's head apart with a single finger. Namsan thanked Mob for trying to protect him, which made Mob light up, but followed it up with full sensei energy. For a spirit medium, Mob was incredibly weak. And then he declared that from that moment on, he would be Mob's master. Back in the present, Chie and Kaya-chan's dad rush out in a panic to find her. They both apologize for getting distracted and losing sight of her, then split up to search. That's when Chie spotted Kaya-chan in Namsan's arms. She followed them into an alley and immediately told Namsan to put the girl down, or things were going to get real bad for him. She made it very clear she wasn't playing around. Namsan set Kaya-chan down and showed Chie just how frighteningly out of it the girl was. But Chie didn't flinch. She scooped Kaya-chan up gently and said, "It's okay, Kaya-chan. There's nothing to be scared of. I'm right here." Namsan asked, with that unsettling look of his, whether Chie was genuinely that devoted to this protective instinct, or if she was just doing it to tame the monster cub, meaning Kaya-chan. Chie shut him down immediately. She said Kaya-chan was not an animal and asked why he talked about her that way, especially since he was also a medium, just like Kaya-chan. Namsan pointed to the wound on his own head and explained, people like him and Kaya-chan tend to get misunderstood, labeled as abnormal. And while it might seem logical to lump all mediums together in one group, even among the abnormal, there are differences. It's like a power ranking. And the higher up you go, the further a person drifts from being human, and the closer they get to something feral. Nam-san, with a look that sent chills down your spine, said he simply couldn't see Kaya-chan as a human being on the same level as him. And he added that even though Mob considered her a divine being, the members of her family were a whole lot closer to the evil side of things. Chie asked how he knew so much about Kaya-chan. Nam-san said it straight, because he's also an Ebisumori. And to prove what was living inside the girl, Nam-san ripped the spirit right out of her body. Chie went still, completely stunned, unable to believe what she was seeing, as Kaya-chan's little body crumpled to the ground like an empty shell. Chie caught her and asked, desperately, what the hell Nam-san had just done to her. Nam-san laid it out, no sugarcoating. What Chie called Kaya-chan was actually the Ebisumori family's monster wearing a human disguise. The eldest daughter of the Ebisumoris is a shrine maiden who inherits abnormal powers, and along with that, her inner self gets replaced by a spirit. And unlike everyone else, he could see that replacement clearly. He said that over time, everything inside her gets swapped out, until there's not a single trace of humanity left, and that the Ebisumoris discard anyone who might be a problem for them, keeping the spirit's power all to themselves. He made it clear he didn't care if the Ebisumoris tore themselves apart with that power, but since Mob and Chie kept insisting on getting close to them to protect them both, he was going to exorcise Kaya-chan. Nam-san also pointed out that Chie had already been through some terrifying situations since getting involved with that family, and that after the exorcism, she could either keep the empty shell or file a missing persons report, whichever she preferred. Chie couldn't take it anymore. She knocked Nam-san to the ground. She grabbed Kaya-chan's little spirit and demanded he bring her back to normal, stating, with complete certainty, that Kaya-chan was no monster. And then she remembered, the first time Kaya-chan was defiant. The girl didn't want to change out of her dirty clothes in front of someone else. Chie tried to guess why, but Kaya-chan snapped that it didn't matter, because she'd never understand anyway. That's when Chie got closer and said gently that she wanted to understand what Kaya-chan was feeling. Kaya-chan was caught off guard, because normally, nobody ever tried to understand her. With her little heart already starting to soften, she looked up at Chie and asked, almost in a whisper, "Miss Chie, do you hate me?" Chie said absolutely not, said it was impossible to hate Kaya-chan, because the truth was, she loved her so much. She pulled the girl into a tight hug, and it was the first time in Kaya-chan's life that she had ever truly felt loved. With her eyes welling up, she said she wanted a long-sleeve shirt, and explained why she always kept herself covered. "It's because I'm getting darker." She also mentioned that another teacher had said she was just being moody. Chie didn't fully understand what getting darker meant, but told her that as long as she could help, the meaning didn't matter. Back in the alley, Chie told Nam-san it didn't matter if Kaya-chan's inner self was a spirit, because Kaya-chan could still smile, get annoyed, feel happy. She had a real human heart beating inside her, and she meant every word of her threat. If he kept treating Kaya-chan like a monster, she would make him regret it. Then she declared, without a single doubt, "I will protect Kaya-chan." Those words made Kaya-chan's spirit remember everything. Chie's kindness, the warmth she had never received from anyone else. And just like that, the spirit returned to Kaya-chan's body on its own. Nam-san looked down at his own hand and felt genuinely disappointed in himself. He wasn't strong enough to exorcise Kaya's spirit. Simple as that. Kaya-chan opened her eyes, and as Chie pulled her into a warm hug, she said she had gotten lost. Then she started crying, because that was the first time in her life she had ever been truly scared. Chie comforted her, saying everything was okay now, and that she was taking her back to her dad. Afterward, Chie said goodbye to Kaya-chan, who was now beaming in her father's arms. Chie asked Nam-san if he still planned to exorcise Kaya-chan. He said no, because he knew he didn't have the power for it. He could only deal with spirits that weren't fully embodied, and unless the spirit acted on its own and revealed itself, there was nothing he could do about what was inside the shell. Nam-san asked, genuinely curious, how Chie had gotten Kaya-chan to come back. He assumed she had some kind of paranormal ability. Chie said it wasn't her. Kaya-chan had found her own way back. And that's when Nam-san understood. Just like Mob's words had saved him all those years ago, it was Chie's words that saved Kaya-chan. Later, Chie calls Mob and practically blows up his phone screaming at him, saying that Nam-san is way too dangerous and that he tried to finish off Kaya-chan. Then Nam-san appears out of nowhere, standing right behind Mob, and immediately claps back, saying those are all false accusations, because what he actually tried to do was an exorcism, and nobody in the world considers that attempted murder, bro. Chie, who was already furious, absolutely loses it when she realizes Nam-san is there at Mob's house and demands to know what the heck he's doing there. Nam-san explains that he's been doing research with Mob about Kaya-chan because a lot of things just aren't adding up. Like, It's pretty clear that Kaya-chan is going to be the next leader of the Ebisomori, since not only does her name follow the family tradition, but she's also the eldest daughter and has paranormal abilities. But the weird part is that Kaya-chan lives a completely normal life, just like any other kid, even though she's actually a super powerful monster. Hearing Nam-san talk about the Ebisomori like he's not one of them, Chie asks if he isn't an Ebisomori himself, and he explains that even though he is an Ebisomori, he comes from a different branch, a secondary family whose members don't have any paranormal abilities. He says these secondary families worship the main family and their priestess almost like a cult, or at least that's what he believes, since he was cast out before he could find out more. Nam-san thinks he was expelled because, ever since he was a little kid, he could see the true identity of the priestesses. He says he saw something they don't hesitate to keep hidden, even if it means destroying a child's life, and showing off the absolutely wrecked state of his hand ever since he last touched Kaya-chan. He says something deeply sinister is going on with her, and since it was Chie who saved her and brought her back to human form before he could perform the exorcism, the responsibility of keeping an eye on Kaya-chan falls on her. Chie says that's obvious. Of course she's going to look after Kaya-chan. Later, Aunt Nana goes to pick Kaya up from school. She immediately notices that Kaya-chan isn't acting like herself and asks Chie what happened. Chie gets scared to say anything, afraid that Nana also won't see Kaya-chan as a real human being, just like Nam-san. Noticing the hesitation, Nana asks that if Chie ever finds anything out, she reach out to her. With a very nervous smile, Chie agrees. Later, while making paper charms together, Kaya-chan asks Nana, "Aunt Banana, can you defeat monsters too?" Nana says no, and tells her that only someone special like Kaya can do that, because Kaya-chan is strong. But Kaya-chan, still totally traumatized from not being able to take down that creep, says she's never going to fight another monster again. Nana says Kaya-chan is completely right not to want to, and shares that when she was little, she was scared out of her mind every time she saw a ghost, and all she ever did was hide behind her mom. So, for when Kaya-chan has no choice but to face a monster, Nana gives her a protection charm, one that'll keep ghosts far away from her. Kaya-chan looks at the charm and says it looks like a butt. At that moment, Nana is reminded of her little sister, Kaya's mom, who once said the exact same thing back in the day, and without even realizing it, tears start streaming down her face. Kaya-chan, thinking it's her fault, apologizes, but Nana says it's all good, that it was just something in her eye. The next day at school, Kaya-chan is playing hide-and-seek with her friends, and while she's counting, one of the little boys gets possessed by a ghost. He lures Saku-chan over, saying he knows the perfect hiding spot. He takes her there, and even though she's really scared of the dark, Saku-chan goes inside, and bizarre tentacles start coming out from within. Kaya-chan finishes counting, hits 20, and takes off running to find everyone. Without any trouble at all, she finds Yuzu-chan hiding behind a pillar and Kenken up in a tree. Then she finds Saku-chan and Ma-kun. But when they turn around with those creepy smiles, Kaya-chan realizes they're not really them. They start calling her a weirdo. Kaya-chan says Saku would never say that, and goes straight at the ghosts. But her powers don't work, and she gets knocked down way too easily. After that, the ghosts go up to Kenken and Yuzu and tell them Kaya-chan doesn't want to play with them anymore, and invite them to a new game, just the two of them. A little while later, when it's time to head back to class, Yuzu-chan looks for Kenken but can't find him anywhere. She keeps searching until she spots him coming out of the same place Saku went in. She runs up to him saying it's time to get back to class, and then Kenken transforms right in front of her, and the others surround her so she can't run. Somehow, Yuzu-chan manages to break free and takes off running, chased by the ghosts. She spots Kaya-chan and screams that something is seriously wrong with their friends. Kaya-chan runs to help, but freezes up. She flashes back to the terror she felt with that disgusting excuse for a human, and she just can't move. In one last desperate attempt to find her courage, she grabs onto the charm Aunt Nana gave her. Meanwhile, the ghosts drag Yuzu-chan to the spot where everyone is trapped in the real ghost's hair, and it screams, "Let's all play together and hide forever, heh heh heh." Yuzu-chan screams in complete despair, but just as she's about to be captured, Kaya-chan appears out of nowhere and shoves her out of the way, telling her to run. The moment Yuzu takes off, the ghosts turn to face Kaya-chan, ready to take her out. But tough luck for the ghost, because Kaya-chan has already gotten every bit of her courage back, and she yells, "You are being mean to my friends. That is not okay." And she wipes him out with a single punch. Saku, Kenken, and Ma-kun snap back to normal, and Kaya-chan says she found all three of them and that she wins. Right then, Akira, Chie, and Yuzu-chan show up to see what went down, and everyone hugs Kaya-chan, relieved and thrilled to have been saved by her. Kaya-chan is on top of the world because not only did she save her friends, but she also realized that Yuzu-chan didn't run away out of fear. She ran to get help and never abandoned her. Later, Kaya-chan tells Chie that she took down a ghost and saved everyone, and then she shows Chie the charm from her aunt. Meanwhile, Mob is still out there, stalking Kaya-chan like the total nerd he is. Namsan thinks the whole thing is super weird and wrong, but tags along with Mob anyway just to protect him, knowing full well the guy is basically a walking disaster magnet. And to prove he was right, he saves Mob at the very last second from a ghost that had been hiding inside the camera he was using to take pictures. He takes out the ghost, but then finds himself surrounded by a ton more. Namsan realizes that because of all the pictures Mob took, the ghost multiplied. He gets ready to finish them all off at once, but because of how messed up his hand is from what Kaya-chan did to it, he can't use it and drops to the ground in pain. That's when a hula hoop slices every single ghost clean in half, and Kaya-chan shows up like an absolute hero, declaring that hurting Uncle Mob's friend is not okay. She turns to Mob and asks if he's alright, and the dude literally drops to his knees in front of her, completely in awe, begging to take more photos. Noticing that Kaya-chan is always the one protecting Mob, Namsan finally feels at ease and heads out. Kaya-chan watches him walk away, notices the resemblance to her aunt, and goes, "Aunt Banana in boy form." As he walks away, Namsan pulls off his glove and looks at his hand, which is only getting worse, and thinks that at this rate he's not going to be able to protect Mob. Later, just before Nana takes Kaya-chan home, Chie finally decides to come clean about everything she knows. Thinking that Nana has no idea about Kaya's powers, she reveals that Kaya-chan can see ghosts, that she can defeat them, and that there's something seriously out of the ordinary about her, and that's why so many people think she's strange. Nana asks why Chie decided to trust her, and Chie says it was after seeing the charm that Kaya-chan showed her, because written on the charm were the words, "Let all evil be channeled unto Ebisumori Nana," meaning, as long as Kaya-chan had that charm, anything bad aimed at her would be redirected straight to Nana herself. Nana says she only did it to give herself a little peace of mind. Chie says all she wants is for Kaya-chan to live a happy life with her family, and for no one to ever call her a monster again. They step into a private room, and Nana explains that the story Namsan told was pretty close to the truth. Long ago, the founder of the Ebisumori was an incredibly powerful priestess, and with her supernatural abilities, she made the family thrive beyond measure. But the Ebisumori's bad luck was that those powers weren't passed down to the next generation. Even so, they refused to give up, and used countless spells trying to resurrect the priestess, until one day they found a way, what's known as the cursed womb. Every child born from this spell is a girl, and as they grow up, they become replicas of the original priestess, both in appearance and in ability. And because of that, the Ebisumori have endured for generations upon generations. Every priestess born this way feels the desire to give birth to the next, and that's why the eldest daughter always has paranormal powers. So Nana says that in practice, all Ebisumori women are nothing more than vessels for a supernatural power, which confirms everything Namsan said, that all of them are monsters. Chie then asks if Kaya-chan is nothing but a shell wrapped around something bigger, if the real Kaya-chan doesn't even exist. Nana reassures her, saying that even though Kaya-chan inherited a more direct power from the original priestess, she absolutely has her own personality. After all, it was Mirai herself who gave birth to her. Chie is relieved, but asks why Kaya's mom would ever do something like that. Nana pulls out a photo of herself with her sisters and explains that Mirai did it as an act of rebellion, because she believes Mirai felt inferior for not having any powers and held a lot of resentment toward their mother for how differently they were born. She eventually found out about the cursed womb, and through that, maybe found a way to break free from it all, at least a little. Nana also mentions that the name Kaya means 8th goddess, and that maybe that's why Mirai chose that name for her daughter. Chie is blown away, and then brings up Mirai's second child. Nana, genuinely surprised to hear that, asks for more details. Chie explains that her medium friend, Mob, said there's a ghost inside Kaya-chan's mom's belly, and concludes that must be this so-called cursed womb. Chie asks if Mirai is trying to have 2 priestess daughters. Nana picks Kaya-chan up, walks out of the room looking clearly shaken, and tells Chie there's something she needs to confirm for herself. She heads to the hospital where Mirai is being kept, but as they walk, Kaya-chan, visibly terrified, says that Nana cannot go to her mom. Nana tells Kaya-chan that she's been an incredibly strong girl for facing her mom all this time, and that from here on out, she'll be the one to handle it. But the moment Nana opens the door to Mirai's room, tiny little hands grab onto her arm, and her eye starts bleeding instantly. Kaya-chan rushes over to see if she's okay. Nana, not understanding what just happened, thinks it must have been a hallucination, but quickly concludes it was real, and that she should have died right then and there. Her phone rings, and when she picks up, she gets the news that her mother just passed away. That's when Nana notices a protection charm split in 2 that had fallen out of her bag. And at the care facility where her mother was staying, Nam-san comes face to face with Nana's mother, already gone. In her hand, a charm with the words, Let all evil be channeled unto Ebisumori Mutsu. And that's when Nana understands everything. Her mother just sacrificed herself for her, and that's what stopped her from dying moments before. The next day, Kaya-chan's dad shows up at school to pick her up and breaks the news to Chie. Nana's mom passed away the night before, and that's why she couldn't come get the little girl herself. Later, Nana calls the school asking to speak with Chie. The moment Chie picks up, Nana tells her they need to meet in person, that there's something seriously important she has to say. And then comes the gut punch. The meeting is going to be at the Ebisumori mansion. Chie can barely believe what she's hearing. The next day, the three of them head to the mansion together. On the way there, Nana explained she was going to pay her respects to her mother, but Kaya-chan's dad was completely wrecked from exhaustion and had no way of watching the girl. So Nana offered to take care of her and used that as her excuse to bring Chie along. When they finally arrive at the Ebisumori mansion, Chie's jaw practically hits the floor. The place is enormous. It's crystal clear that the Ebisumori family is operating on a whole different level of power and wealth. But then she spots Mob and Namsan already there, and the irritation hits instantly. She cannot wrap her head around what those two are doing there. Once inside, Chie pulls Nana aside and asks if she's really sure she wanted to invite those two. Nana explains that Mob has some kind of connection to Kaya, even if it's a weak one. With a steady, no-nonsense look, she says that right now, she's accepting help from anyone who can offer it. Namsan picks up on that immediately and asks whether Nana got scared after seeing how her mother actually died, and he goes straight for the jugular. Was Mutsu Ebisumori murdered? Chie covers Kaya-chan's ears on the spot, because this is way too heavy for a little kid to be hearing. She tells the girl to go play in the garden, and Kaya-chan takes off without a fuss. Then Nana calls everyone to follow her, saying she's about to reveal the real reason she brought them all here. As they walk, she tells them that in the past, under her mother's leadership, all kinds of people came and went through the mansion. Namsan already sees where this is going, and points out that consulting psychics and mediums isn't exactly mainstream these days, and that since Nana is a mediocre medium herself, she can't fake it nearly as well as the previous one. Chie tells Namsan to show some basic respect, but Nana doesn't even flinch, and agrees with every word. She says he's right. She's nowhere near as powerful as her mother or Kaya-chan, but she says it doesn't matter all that much, because these days people like mediums are seen as sketchy at best, even if they'll never completely disappear. Then she leads the group into a room where all the Ebisumori family secrets are kept. Inside, she tells them there is something that should never ever be made public. The ritual for reincarnating the priestess, the spell of the cursed womb. Nana begins to explain how it works. The core element is a pregnant woman, and the Ebisumori woman performs the ritual on herself. The father's gender is irrelevant, because the spell transforms the fetus into a vessel for the priestess. But for it to work, a specific umbilical cord is required. The family believes the priestess's power lives within the umbilical cord, and to activate the spell, the pregnant woman must consume the previous umbilical cord. Chie looks absolutely disgusted hearing this, while Mob is practically buzzing with excitement over every bizarre detail of the story. Nana continues, the longer the fetus stays inside the cursed womb, the more powerful the transformation will be. Since she was born premature, the spell's window was short, and that's exactly why she ended up being a mediocre medium. Namsan thinks the whole thing is complete nonsense, says curses have nothing to do with him, and tells Nana to deal with her own problems. But then he explains to Chie that Mutsu didn't die from illness or old age. She was killed by a curse cast by someone who harbors a deep, burning hatred for the Ebisumoris. He says that on the day he went to visit and watched Mutsu die right in front of him, he felt a certain relief seeing that person, someone who had caused him so much pain, finally go. But he noticed that her soul never left her body. Mob says that's impossible, since he himself witnessed his own daughter's soul outside her body. Namsan agrees and confirms. Mutsu's death was not natural. It was a curse, generated by someone who genuinely despises them. And he asks Nana if she knows who that person is. Nana agrees with Namsan and holds up a charm her mother had made to protect herself. Chie realizes it's identical to the one she saw with Kaya-chan. Nana explains that what she herself does is child's play, but her mother's was the real deal. And it was because of that charm that her mother died in her place. Then the bombshell drops. The person who wants to destroy the Ebisumoris isn't some outsider. It's Kaya-chan's own mother, Ebisumori Mirai. Mob, even visibly shaken, argues that crafting a curse powerful enough to kill someone is incredibly difficult, and that since Kaya-chan's mother wasn't a medium, it would have been flat out impossible. Nana explains that there is actually a way, because the role of carrying a curse has always belonged to the younger sisters born into the Ebisumori family. Mirai would be completely capable of it. It was through this very practice that the Ebisumori family thrived for more than an era, all built on the power of the curses carried. not the priestesses themselves. Namsan says he can't understand why the Ebisumoris treated their younger sisters so badly when they should have been grateful to them, since it's because of them that the family is still standing. Nana explains, the longer the child remains in the womb, the more powerful the curse becomes. But the child that's born doesn't take human form, and the curse begins to spread inside the pregnant woman, slowly eating away at her life from the inside out, until it tears through the womb, and then the curse born alongside the baby goes on to kill whoever the mother intended. Nana goes on to say that because of this, every youngest daughter designated as a womb bearer was forced to suffer deliberate brain damage, so their lives could be sacrificed in moments of crisis to generate curses. She then reveals a photo of their aunt, Ebisumari Yoshi, the last one to fulfill that horrific role. Yoshi had been the best aunt in the world to both her and Mirai, kind, attentive, warm, especially with Mirai, who was constantly overlooked and ignored by their mother. When Yoshi was pregnant and carrying the curse, Nana, as the priestess, already knew everything about the cursed womb, but Mirai had absolutely no idea those were her beloved aunt's final days. When their mother destroyed one of Mirai's cursed toys, for instance, Mirai couldn't see the curse. All she saw was cruelty. She read it as pure rage from her mother and sister. But Yoshi would try to explain that Nana and their mother were priestesses, that they had supernatural abilities, that they served an important role for the family, and that because of them, everyone could live in peace. The priestesses carry an enormous burden. Nana says that Yoshi was more of a mother to them than Mutsu ever was, and that she even felt a small bittersweet pang of envy toward the child Yoshi was about to bring into the world. But the inevitable happened, and to spare Mirai more pain, they told her it had been a car accident. Over time, Mirai started getting bullied at school simply for being an Ebisumori, because the Ebisumoris were seen by everyone around them as con artists and frauds. She begged to stop going to school, just like Nana had, but was completely ignored. She tried to speak up about what she was going through, tried to understand why she was treated so differently from her sister. And then her mother, cold and completely emotionless, looked her dead in the eye and said she would never be treated the same as Nana, because she was not a priestess. That broke Mirai. Even in college, people treated her like some kind of creepy witch who went around putting hexes on people. Then one day, Mirai went digging through the family's storage looking for an old health booklet from her childhood and stumbled across a photo of Aunt Yoshi. The emotion hit like a truck. She grieved that ever since her aunt's death, she had been completely alone in the world. Then she found Yoshi's childhood health booklet, and that's where the whole truth came crashing down on her all at once. Mirai realized that Yoshi had been completely manipulated into believing she was useful to the family. All that warmth and gentleness toward her, it was because the two of them were the same. Neither of them was a priestess. In reality, Yoshi had been overlooked and discarded just like Mirai. Except Yoshi had already seen it coming. She knew that when she was gone, Mirai would suffer terribly. And with her mind already shattered from years of pain and manipulation, she left behind detailed notes on exactly how to perform the cursed womb ritual, as if she hoped Mirai would carry out the role of womb bearer with dignity, already foreseeing that it would be Mirai who would one day use her own umbilical cord. And so, the moment Mirai discovers that the older sisters are the only ones ever treated like human beings, and that the younger ones are seen as nothing more than eggs waiting to hatch a monster on demand, something in her ignites, a deep, all-consuming hatred for her mother, for Nana, for everything the Ebisumoras stand for, and she makes up her mind. She is going to burn it all down, whatever it costs, even if it kills her.